Yeah, so Mr. Smarty here, who's only been in IT for 40 years, changed his junk mail filters last week and then wondered why I was getting almost zero email. And I sat there last night and I thought, I've only got 2 pictures for the thing tomorrow. What the hell's going on? So I did some digging and I realized that if you weren't in my email address book, in my contact book, everything was going to junk mail. So I had to recover thousands of emails last night from all. I was supposed to do it on one dead account, and it did it on everything. So I spent last night and this morning recovering them. I do now have a reasonable number of photographs, but I'm not sure whether I've got. I think I've got everybody's, but if yours are missing, I'm going to grovel ahead of time. I learned anyway, so doesn't matter how long you've been in IT, this stuff is still hard work.
Well, maybe thinking it's a fraud account because there's 3 or 4 times that amount.
Mike's gone, but he's talking.
Michael, he got a phone call and walked away.
Well, Graham, if you don't have, like, how you show it first and we can see whether you have ours. And if you don't have it, can we email them to you right now and you get them in or not?
Oh, it did? Okay. Yeah.
Let me just do that.
Well, and I don't know what their alert limit is, but I thought at first maybe that was what it was.
Okay.
Sorry you had trouble, but it's going through. So
those
later.
I've got.
Bye.
It's about the usual number, but a little light, I think. So.
Yeah, mine and Tom's are there.
I beg your pardon?
I said mine and Tom's are there.
Good. Yep. I remember that.
Mine and Betty are there.
Okay. Is anybody missing? Okay. You had your chance. All right. What we got today, AJ? Is that a Blériot monoplane?
Oh, that's a model airplane in my old office up in New York, hanging in the window.
Ooh. Very nice. Okay. What we got? I don't have the agenda. Bill, what we got?
Well, seeing the group that we have today, I'm going to question if this is an important tips and tricks kind of thing about tripods. I mean, I think there's a lot of people in here that probably are pretty settled in with them. If there's anybody that would want a little more information on it.
Sure. I'm always up for it.
Wouldn't mind hearing what you have to say.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Sounds like you have a vote to go, Bill.
Yep. Oh, by the way, my D750 is no longer in my possession.
Oh, you sold it?
Yeah, actually, Bob Seidel bought it.
Oh, well, I guess there's one born every minute, huh?
There you go.
I'm glad you sold it. Glad Bob's got a good camera.
Yeah, he does. I need to share a screen.
Oh, you do, huh? Okay.
Well, I'm gonna try to make my life easier and everybody else's.
Good. I'm a bit discombobulated today, as you can tell. Bill, where's Bill? Oh, you really helped me, Caped Crusader. Thank you.
I keep forgetting.
You should have it, Bill.
Okay, and
Caped Crusader.
go up.
Laughing at your Caped Crusader.
It says I'm sharing my screen, and I should have a ball head up there.
No, we have your Finder. Explorer's up there. Sorry, I was using Macintosh language.
Reason it doesn't want to.
Have you got it in the foreground, Bill? It's weird like that. If you have it minimized, I think Zoom won't let you share it for some reason. It's very odd.
Okay, I'll forget it. Up there. Okay. Instead of that, what I was going to do is to show the different ball heads that are on top of a tripod, you know, to start off with. My battery's going dead.
You have a battery-powered tripod, Bill?
Hmm?
You have a battery-powered tripod?
No. My battery has just gone dead. I'm going to probably disappear.
Bye.
Yeah.
They have this stuff called
Plug
electric.
it in.
You know.
I've been out here for a half an hour. No, I'm outside. I don't have the cable. Oh, man.
We'll talk among yourselves.
Wait till
I'm
he
going
goes, then we can
to
talk
probably
about
get
it.
my iPad.
Well,
Yeah,
there he
okay,
was.
We'll talk about
There
it.
he
now.
gone.
Talk about Bill.
Well, what Bill was about to show was a tripod head that mounts on your tripod that allows you to quickly connect a camera body to it. And the idea is that rather than having to take a lot of time to, yep, there you go. Rather than taking a lot of time to do that thumb screw underneath the platform into your camera body, you just snap it in, and it makes it a whole lot easier to get it on and off. And you know, those systems go from very, very simple to a whole lot more expensive. And Blotzer is showing. Is that the Arco type head?
The head, yes, it's an archetype head on a, gosh, what's this? Is the Manfrotto MHX Pro BHQ2.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm going to walk off and get my camera real quick to show something a little bit different. So hang on, talk amongst yourselves.
yeah, actually, I think I have a plate for this that I can show.
Yeah, that'd be good. So what Mike and so on are showing you is this, and it's a clamping system. This is grooved, and it's called Arca, A-R-C-A, and you'll often see it called Arca Swiss. And that's a standard format.
There it is.
It was proprietary, but I think, oh, Bill's back. It was proprietary, but I think now everybody and his brother has copied it. And so you can get relatively inexpensive clamps that fit on your camera. I mean, dirt cheap ones that are very simple, but they still fit the Arca Swiss.
I guess this may not be an Arca Swiss, Graham, is because it's not grooved.
Oh,
But this,
no, it isn't. That's the
Yeah.
proprietary Manfrotto. So there's the catch. The one that Mike B's showing us now works with that tripod head, but only with that tripod head.
not really. I mean, I bought some cheapo tripod heads. They must license it. I mean, I bought some
They do?
cheapo tripods that have this also. But yeah, the plate screws onto the bottom of the
Yep.
camera, and then in the mount, it basically just kind of locks in like that.
Right. Okay. I've seen the ones like that on Manfrottos. So I guess that's that's the cautionary note, is make sure that you get something that's conformant with your tripod. Bill, that looks like an Arca Swiss that you've got on there. You're muted.
There I go. I'm on an iPad, so everything's in a different place now. Yeah, this is the Arca, where you put the plate on the bottom of your camera. It's a, I guess it's a 1/4 inch mount. On the back is the screw, and this is one of those D screws, so you don't need to use a screwdriver, you don't need to use a 1/4, and you get a nice snug fit to it. And when I originally bought my first tripod, I had one of these, but when I tightened it up, it always felt like the camera could fall off. It just didn't feel secure. And that's why I went to the kind of Manfrotto head like Mike was just showing you, because it snaps in and it even has almost like a safety to it. But I just bought this head just last week, and it actually snugs up really well. It feels a lot more secure than my original one. And what I really needed this one for was, on my camera, I use the L brackets, which allows you to put on a tripod your camera either horizontally or vertically, which is this feels awful odd on an iPad. I'm sorry.
Show and tell.
So when you mount this on
Uh,
your camera, you can either have the tripod hooked to the bottom horizontally, or you can turn around and use the tripod and have the camera oriented as in portrait. And these rails on here are for the Arca Swiss. So you have to have that type of connection to be able to do that. You know, I don't know if there's any way of modifying a Manfrotto type quick release, which is what Mike, I think, was showing before. Now with the Manfrotto, let's see, it's open. And when you go to put your camera in here, when you go to put the plate in, it pushes a little button down and it really snaps in. And it becomes really secure. This is funny. And then there's a little snap, a little arm that is like a safety. I mean, once your camera's in this thing, it feels like you can take your tripod and rattle it around and it's never going to come off. But so I've kind of really liked to use this type when you know, I'm just taking horizontal tripod type photographs. And it's got the type of head where once you release it, you know, you could just move it in all different positions, and it's just one locking mechanism to keep it in that position. These heads generally hold up to about 17.6 pounds. But there's a whole grouping of different type of strengths that you can get. But just to tell you, like my D850 weighs 2 pounds. And if I bought a 200 to 500 telephoto for it, that would add 5 pounds to it. So, you know, a camera with a good sized lens is still only going to weigh maybe about 7 pounds or so. So it's good for the kind of things that we do. What I had on the other computer was a picture of a Gobi tripod, which is kind of it has flexible legs on it, and it can be used for smartphones and for iPhones, which I just wanted to make sure that I included because there's a lot of people that use the iPhones. I picked up a little tripod. Here, it only stands about 6 inches tall. And basically what I was using it for was if I was going to do any kind of very low photography that I want to be really close to the ground. Or if you want to do something like with tabletop, something like AJ would do, you know, once you spread these out, you're almost down at the table level. So, but again, you know, I think it costs like $15 or so. And you would just have to get that little head here that has the C clamp so that you can put a smartphone or an iPhone in it. That was basically the ball heads that we're just talking about. But then when it comes to tripods, I mean, again, I'm sorry for this, but what I have here is a Me Photo. It's a travel tripod. So it's fairly light. It's made of aluminum. But the good news is this can easily fit in my luggage. So it's not a tripod that, you know, exceeds the size of something that can go in the overhead. And it's very easy to travel with it. You know, I don't really like the idea of carrying my camera bag on board and having a tripod hanging out and stuff like that. So it can be stowed away. And with the ball heads, they just screw off. So it really becomes, this is now under 16 inches long. So it can fit anywhere, you know, very easily. One thing that's certain preferences to people on a tripod is the way that the legs extend. These here, you turn them here, and they extend. Then you just have to tighten them up. So let's see. Yeah. You see, you can extend it all out really quickly, move it in, and then snug it back up. Some people complain about these types because sometimes if they don't snug them up enough and you put your camera on it, you put it down, it'll kind of lean on you because it really doesn't show if it's locked or not. The other type of legs would be this type where you actually have levers on it. So when you look down, you can tell that each one of the legs is locked in. I kind of like these, but again, I have 2 tripods and each has different legs on it. So I've been evolving, I guess, over time. Now, as far as the travel, you can actually get these that turn into monopods. So this particular one, I can take apart in about a minute and have a monopod. So you don't have to have 2 separate ones. And often what most of these will have is on the very bottom, there's this little hook. The hook is if you're someplace and you want the tripod to be maybe a little more stable, you know, once this is extended up, you can put your camera bag on it or some kind of weight just to give it a little more stability. You know, to just to make sure it's as stable as possible. I've never used it before, just like I've never used the monopod portion of it, because this thing is small enough, it's sturdy enough to go just about anywhere. It's, you know, it's the one that I like to use. The other one that I showed is a carbon fiber. It's an older version, and you know, unless I'm just going to pull it out of the car and put it someplace, you know, it just stays home. And the last thing here is just a monopod itself, which Mike Blautzer is very familiar with. When I first met Mike, he used a monopod quite a bit. And actually, this monopod here is heavier than this tripod. So you have to just be careful what you really want. But I think, Mary, how is your tripod doing?
I love it. You gave me absolutely the right suggestions, and it changed. It has really, sorry, my dog is barking. It has actually helped me finally focus.
Yep. And the one I recommended for Mary was very similar to the travel one that I have.
Right. And it comes with a little bag. It's easy to move around, and yeah, it's great. And also I do love the way it attaches. It feels real secure.
Yep.
So it was a very good suggestion.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question. I've been looking at travel tripods that have the ball head is a part of it rather than being a separate piece. I wonder if anybody's had any experience with those. I'm trying to find something really light.
That's kind of like this Peak Design, Lynn.
Yes, I've looked at
This is a travel tripod, maybe a little bit shorter than what you showed, Bill, but very similar. The one advantage this has is it fits in my motorcycle top case, and it does come with a head already integrated into it. And it's basically a ball head. And so it does use a proprietary mounting system. But again, like the Arca Swiss and the Manfrotto, it screws on to the bottom of the camera for the tripod mount, and then clips into the head. But the other, this is I got this specifically for travel by motorcycle. I do quite a bit of motorcycle touring, and like the way it like its features. It also includes the hook on the bottom that Bill noted, but the hook will come out, and you have a smartphone mount that you can quickly mount quickly mount your phone to the tripod. So
is that aluminum or carbon?
this one is aluminum. I got sticker shock from the carbon. They make a carbon and an aluminum, and I've been really impressed with Peak Design's engineering. They've got a lot of neat features. I think one complaint when I looked at reviews on tripods, on travel tripods, one of the issues with the Peak Design is if you're a very tall person, then the height may be a limiting factor for you. So if I'm 5'9", if you're like, and I don't have a problem with it, but if you're 6 foot and over, you might see that as a concern.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the other thing, if you don't mind,
Mike,
Yeah?
before you go, are you calling that a Peak Design? What is the name of it?
Peak Design, P as in Pico, P-E-A-K, and design, and I think it's peakdesign.com.
Okay.
The aluminum model is about $300, and the carbon fiber is like $6.
Okay,
So
thanks.
it's not cheap. But the other thing, this is an Arc Swiss mount. This, I blame Graham for me having this because I was complaining about being able to study my long lens for bird photography. And this head is a Wimberley. And the interesting thing about it, I've tried to do bird photography with a Peak Design, and the ball heads just don't cut it. But this Wimberley, once you balance the camera wherever you point it, the camera stays in position, and so it's kind of really a nice gimbal mount for tracking birds or quickly moving it. Bill first saw me with a monopod because I found this is a setup I mainly use now, handheld, predominantly handheld. But when I first started using it, the monopod was kind of convenient. It allowed movement, quick movement to pick up birds in the area. But anyway, sorry, didn't mean to bogart this, but I just thought people might find that Wimberley interesting.
I have a question, Bill. Bill, what are the brands of the tripods you've shown us, like the aluminum one?
Well, the one that I had here is the ME Photo, Photo. And I think Mary bought something similar, which was the, let's see, it's a Be Free. And they run anywhere between about 150 and 200.
So Lynn, 1 point for your travel tripod. This is my travel version. This is a Gitzo carbon fiber. And one thing I would mention to you is if you're walking far, consider having carbon fiber. Aluminum, despite being claimed to be light, is much heavier than carbon fiber. But the big problem with this tripod is that you were asking about the head. If the head on this did not come off, I couldn't get it in my suitcase. So I have to have a detachable head on here. And the other thing is, you very rapidly learn that the first thing you put in your suitcase is your tripod. And then build around it. Cool.
Well, let me go back to when I stepped away while Bill was incommunicado, and Mike Blotzer was talking about this and may have covered it. But this is the mount that a Manfrotto uses, and it's a kind of it's a common one for other kinds of tripods that will let you put a mount on your camera that will then. Or this is actually the one that goes on the camera. There's one on the ball head that this snaps into. But I found these other mount types after I had an investment in Manfrotto tripod and monopod, and I was too cheap to buy this Arca Swiss mount for each one. And so it is entirely possible to put the Manfrotto mount on the bottom of that Arca Swiss one, and that way you're clipping the whole thing off when you take it off, and you can move it over to your ball to your monopod or whatever without the expense of buying two Arca Swiss mounts. And the other thing I'll say quickly is that the good tripods are really expensive. Buy used. They're all over out there from people that aren't using them and are getting rid of them. B&H, Autorama, KEH, they all have used equipment, and it may have a few scuffs on it, but it will save you large money if you're willing to buy used.
Hey, Michael, that's a good point, because one of the first tripods I bought was from Southeast Camera in Carborough. And if you go in their store, they have, it seems like a dozen or more used tripods that you can actually go in and handle.
Yeah.
And that's a good point too. If you're using a tripod for the first time and you're not sure what you want, the side latches or the releases that Bill showed, people develop a preference. So if you can get a chance to go and handle a tripod, and preferably rent it for a weekend and try it out, I would highly recommend that. Lynn's got her Posh Travel. That looks like a Gitzo.
Yeah, this is a Gitzo, and it is a carbon fiber one.
There you go.
And I have the Arca Swiss head, but together they weigh a lot, I think. Now, I don't know if I would be making a mistake to get a travel type one and not use this one.
So which one? What number is that?
Sell it.
Lynn, which? They have various models, and they all look roughly the same. So
1228 MK2.
Okay. Is that the full-sized one?
Pardon?
Is that the full-sized?
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Okay. So this is the travel one that I have with a too big head on. This is a really right stuff head. And this is a GT 1541T. Now, Gitzo are great tripods, but you will be selling your significant other in order to get one. Same with really right stuff gear.
I've had this a long time and I do use it, but I'm
Yep.
just
Yep.
hoping for something less bulky and heavy.
Yep.
So I don't know if I.
So there's a bigger one that I use regularly. I actually am not a keen fan of treble tripods. I still tend to take my big tripod, unless I'm traveling by air and carrying on carry on luggage. They're good, but so if anybody wants to borrow a travel tripod, they can try this. Or if you want to borrow a full size, I have that somewhere downstairs. But I like Gitzo's gear. It's been really reliable. It's expensive. I do like really right stuff, but I tend not to buy from them nowadays because they're A, very, very, very expensive, and B, he has some political affiliations that I find I don't agree with. So I put my money.
Oh, Kirk, K-I-R-K is a amount just like really right stuff, and they can be about the same price point, but I have found both used. So even those mounts beyond the tripod, even the mounts and ball heads and all the rest of it, you can find used.
Yep. I just looked on eBay, and the best offer I could get for it was $20. I think new it was 120. So
Yeah,
still sitting here because I'm a tight Yorkshireman. I'm not selling $20.
yeah, this ball head that I just got, which is the Arca Swiss, which I found, that it was more secure than my original one. This was $35, which is dirt cheap. Yeah, probably I'll use it 5 times and it'll fall apart, but yeah, you can get the kind of knockoff companies like, was it Newer, Newer, where other ball heads might be $80, $100, things like that. I don't use it that much, so I'm not going to go out and buy the best.
So it's 11:35, folks. So shall we just do if there are any final questions for Bill or Mike Okay, I'll take that as a no then. So let's see if I really do have everybody's photos, shall we? Let's try and share a screen. Nope, that's you lot. I don't want to share you lot. Let's do that and that. Okay. Who's laying claim?
It's mine.
Okay. With a tripod, Lynn?
Oh, yes.
Very good. Talk to us.
Well, we had the good fortune to get out of town last weekend, went up to Blowing Rock and woke up to this foggy morning. So the one thing I've learned, so the theme was supposed to be triangles, right? And I never knew this before. When you go to the crop tool on Lightroom, you can go up and find all different things like triangles and golden whatevers. And so I utilized that for the first time ever. I didn't know it was there. I just stumbled upon it.
Cool.
That's lovely.
The overlay tool for cropping, yeah?
Right.
Yeah. Very useful. What Lynn is, well, actually I'm not in develop mode, but I think we've talked about that before. This is nice.
Lynn, what is down below the bottom of this frame? Is there anything at the bottom that was cropped out?
Probably. I mean, it's just a lawn, I guess.
I guess I would like to see more of the foreground and maybe crop some of the sky out, given that the top part of the sky is pretty uneventful.
Okay.
But I like the shot.
Okay.
See, I'm going to go the opposite way to Mike. I would like to get rid of this fence down here. So I'd crop it a little.
Fence?
I
There's I don't even see a fence.
Well, there you go. That's what happens when you get all things.
I
Huh?
think it's
Or is it a wire?
I think it's
They might be power cables, but there's something there.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, when you're in Lightroom, is I think you could bring a lot more detail out in that skyline. And I think it would. I love the picture, but I think you know, that big expanse could bring some drama to it. So.
Well, I did decrease the highlights and increase the shadows. I don't know. Other than cropping, how do you get rid of those lines down there?
Oh, I would crop. Oh, you can. That's very fussy down there. I mean, there is a tool in Lightroom. You're using Lightroom, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So there is a tool like the brush that you can just go over things nowadays. But it works better where it's not quite as fussy as that.
All right.
It'd be worth trying, but you might have to do it in really, really small sections. And sometimes I find it works really well, and sometimes it's just horrible. But it's worth a try if you care that much about, you know, keeping that piece in, but there's something fussy in there. But I would definitely, for me, I would work on that sky. And I think I love the colors. I love the crispness of this image. I like it. It's tranquil.
Okay, I'll try.
Well, and I'm always proselytizing for HDR. And I think, Lynn, if you'd taken 3 exposures, I mean, you're on a tripod, you can snap them off real quickly, even if you don't have them set to do automatically. And that would bring a lot of detail out of the sky as well. And the other thing that makes me wonder is, what would this look like in black and white?
There's a good point.
That is a good point.
That's what it looks like
Ah,
with an auto conversion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go. You can see more detail, a little bit more detail in the clouds with that, but I like it in black and white
I do too.
a lot.
Interesting. Nice.
Okay.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Good job on that tripod too. Okay, who's laying claim here?
This is not art, but I was desperate, and I was at Lowe's, so it all fit together.
Did you arrange that, Larry, or did you just see it?
No, I arranged it.
I thought you might have. It's a great, you know, desperation makes us do some interesting things. And I thought, I looked at this one when it came in, and it made me smile. So I don't know. What's the feedback for Larry?
I think there may be too much grain in this. Sorry.
Shall we?
I love it. It's just such an everyday picture, but that it makes you just stop and enjoy every day. I love it. I love it.
I think this is a fabulous image, Larry. My feedback to you would be, I find the angle disconcerting of this guy.
Yeah.
And I find this a little disconcerting. You have, in my view, got a perfect humorous shot for this topic here. If you'd just taken a few more shots or worked a little or looked through. Now, I've seen your work increase fairly dramatically over the time we've been looking at your work. And this is a good example of that progress. I think I would say to you, take your time and look through, do the border patrol, you know, go around the edges, see what you like and what you don't like. Is the framing exactly what you want? And those sorts of things. Those are I mean, it's an excellent picture. It's funny. It's nicely executed. I just think that you could up it to a spectacular image by looking through a little more and taking that next step.
Or maybe just cropping this one.
Cropping would work, but you still got it at the angle. Yeah. But cropping.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it off too quickly. It was yesterday's chore.
Hey, we've all been there. We've all been there. But your work's coming on really nicely.
I had to get the people, there were people up and down the aisle wondering probably what the hell I was doing.
A little self-conscious there, huh?
As long as you don't have to run out of the store when they've reported you, you're okay.
No,
You know,
I bought something, so that was cool. So I wasn't a vagrant.
Good job.
you know, Graham, if you look at the lower left corner there, there's another triangle there.
Oh, there's a few in here. Yep, there's one here, look, which Larry could have argued with me. There's one here. There's sort of arguably one here and here and here. Those of you, I don't know anybody knows Mike Osborne, who does a lot of photography, or did in Yosemite. He was a Yosemite Park ranger for a lot of years. But there were two things that Mike always looked for in your images. One was a triangle and the other one was a duck. So he always used to if you get a chance to work with Mike Osborne, go and do it. Cool, good job. All right, who's this?
Okay, this is me. This is near the Farrington Inn restaurant. There's a tree there that really has a really thick limb that's probably off on close to a 45-degree angle. So what they decided to do in order to support it was to put that one piece there to keep the keep that limb up off the ground. So it kind of creates that triangle. But then you have another triangle, which is actually from the middle where the tree trunk splits into two. You kind of have a triangle that actually shows the building in the background. So,
Well, I think you're underestimating yourself, Bill. I see a triangle here. I see a triangle here. I think you could argue that this is a triangle and here.
and even the buildings in the background, you can see the shape of the roofs, which are triangles.
I think you could argue this is close to triangular. I think you know, when I first looked at this, I thought, okay, which is it the obvious triangle? And then I looked more and more. Excuse me, and I see more and more triangles, you know, and yet you look at it and it's a straightforward picture and you go, oh, okay, the more I look, the more I see there.
I think you too is that you don't realize how many triangles are out there every day until you come up with a photo challenge that makes you starting to look at triangles. And they are all over the place.
Yep.
If you sit over by the Goat restaurant here in Farrington, they have lights strung up above, you know, just decorative lighting. But there's parts where they come across and they create triangles. I mean, it's all over the place.
Yep. Cool. Well seen. Nicely done. Aha.
And that's mine again. And as you can, I guess my title of this was How Many Triangles? Because, yeah, each one of these roofs is kind of an implied triangle. So, and then sometimes you have the white color and then you see the roof. So there could be two more triangles. I mean, so yeah, you can go through here and probably find 20 triangles. And this was a tough one to try to get with no cars in front of the dovecote here. And
I thought you post-processed all the cars out.
I'm not that smart, but actually I was leaning against a car. There was one car in the parking lot on the far side. So what I did is I used my 17mm just so I could try to get everything from one edge to the other. And then when I pulled it up in elements, you know, they were just, both sides were coming in. So I had to stretch them back out just to try to keep both sides of the photograph that they're actually vertical. So yeah, there's a.
Bill, I think I saw law enforcement fingerprinting the car you must have been leaning on. So you might expect a call.
I think this is a nice shot, Bill. I like the detail in the sky too. I think it would have been really easy to lose that. That's I like it a lot.
Yeah, what I had to do is I underexposed it just a little bit, just so I kept the detail in the sky. And then when I was in elements, one of my favorite things is the haze removal. That just brings a little contrast and a little more to it.
Yep. Cool. Nicely seen.
But yeah, Farrington is filled with triangles.
There you go. Okay.
That was mine. Farrington Village. It's the back in the gardens. I remember the shot we had a couple of weeks ago where I had the fountains. That's the same area, and this is the top part of one of the corners of the.
How did you get? Did you bring a ladder? How'd you get that shot?
No, I used
Jump.
I used my telephoto lens, and I was way back so that I didn't have such an angle on it, and then I cropped it.
Okay.
Yeah, he was on my shoulders.
Yeah. But now this one and the one before, they seem, what do you call it, letterbox? Is it just the way you cropped it, or is it the lens that you're using?
No, it's just the way I cropped it.
Okay.
Bill, was yours a single shot?
Yes.
Yeah, but you used a very wide angle lens.
Yeah, 17 millimeter on the full frame.
Yeah.
So yours was lens related. Okay, cool.
Did you crop it, Bill?
Yes.
Yeah, so good. Well, I like this, AJ. I mean, you haven't substituted any colors. I had to look for a long time to see whether you'd sneaked any colors in on us. But I think it's a nice interpretation of the theme. It's fascinating. Lots of detail. Anybody got comments for AJ? Whoop. Oh, what happened there? Come back. I like that you put the triangles in down here too. Very good.
Thanks.
That's it. You lot are quiet today.
That's mine also. And Bill stole my thunder. I was going to say how many triangles.
I was just going to. You went to the same school, huh?
Yeah. Actually, the photo itself is kind of a triangle. The overall photo. So I think there are 19 triangles in here.
Now wait, what lens did you use for this to get?
That was a. You can Graham. You can probably pull it up.
Let's have a look.
What was it set at?
18 millimeters on an 1855. Is this on a crop sensor or a full frame?
No, it's not a full frame.
So it's like
I did crop it.
Right. So it's like a 28 millimeter equivalent lens.
Yes.
Cool. Another one that's nicely seen. I like it. Good job on the triangles.
What?
These are rather.
I want to go back to Bill's photo too, and this is reminiscent of it. It's the straight lines on buildings, the vertical lines on buildings are as important to me as horizons are to Graham. And both of these were adjusted so that those vertical lines are there and the building's not leaning into itself or away from the whatever. So
yeah, I also had to work a little bit to get that lamppost in the right position too.
Yeah.
I actually noticed that you done that perfectly, and it's like the gap, the white on either side is perfect. Looked almost perfectly symmetrical. It's like, yep, okay, somebody was working on this one.
Yeah, I took about 40 shots.
Nicely seen.
The curve and the sidewalk also, I think, just really makes that, because I walked around Farrington too, trying to take all these same kind of shots. But this one just really stands out because, to me, because of that curving curb and the walkway onto it.
It
Really,
leads
nice contrast to all the straight lines of the triangles.
Well, I think that's part of the leading line idea, the sidewalk and the walk into the middle and all of that. That's partially what draws you into the photo.
Mhm.
Did you use a tripod?
No, I actually, I
Hey.
set my ISO probably at, I think it was at 800, so I could hold it.
Nicely seen. Good job. Another one. No, we don't need to ask who this is, do we? Hang on.
Wow.
Hang on a minute. Bill's already put 2 in.
It's not me?
Is that you, Bill?
No.
It's me.
Oh, you're sneaking Bill type photos in here.
Why? What makes it a Bill type photo?
Oh, Bill's always
Beach,
putting photos of
beach.
the beach with this
Oh,
type of
beach.
fish in it. Wait and
Yeah.
see. Wait and see.
Always showing off the beach.
Talk to us, Beth.
Well, what I would like to share about this one is that after the sessions on GIMP and some information I had gotten from Lightroom from you guys, I did a lot of post-processing on this one, which I had not done really on any of the other images that I had shared yet. And I really had fun. So I hope that it doesn't come across as over-processed, too much.
Oh.
But I had fun with the sky. And I just wanted to say thanks to you guys. I got a chance to play around and have some fun. And it really dramatically is different from the original photo.
Beautiful,
I
beautiful.
love this. I think you've done a fabulous job in the processing. It's striking, but it doesn't look over processed.
Okay, that was what I was hoping, was that it wasn't.
You know, one of the issues I have with Flickr is there are lots of great landscape groups on there, and you can often spot a Nikon. Nikons are very much more saturated colors than Canons do, in my view, and then they enhance it. And these things they leap off the screen, grab you by the throat and batter you. I mean, and to me they're impressive pictures, but they shouldn't do that. That's not what works for me. This I love. I love the tones. I like the tone of the sand, looks very realistic, and the ocean and the sky. I think this is you should be really proud of this.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And I think the sky makes this too. And I can see what I think is rain in the far beach area, but the placement of the buildings in terms of composition on that almost third, if you'd move this one way or the other, that shot wouldn't have made it.
Right. I kept thinking about the thirds. I did do a little cropping on it, but also it was this. I went out about 20 times. I don't usually do this, but about 20 times I went out to catch, because the clouds were changing and the sunlight was changing. And I would take one and I go, that's nice. And then I'd go back out and go, no, that's better. And then I'd go back out. Oh, no, that's better.
The bug's got you now.
Yeah.
I really like how the light in the sky frames that one building. It's very nicely done.
Yeah.
And this is an iPhone, Beth, yeah?
Correct. But all the post-processing doesn't matter what you start with so much. Right?
True. Well, but is this the new iPhone, is this a JPEG that you processed?
Yes.
Wow. See, that's incredible.
Yeah.
JPEGs often don't stand up to a lot of processing. But you can shoot RAW on that new phone you've got, can't you? I think
so, but I don't think I don't deliberately do it if it happens on its own.
An iPhone 12?
No, it's the 11.
The 11. Huh.
It's the 11.
I didn't
I
know
think
the
the
11 did RAW.
12 Pro is where that starts.
Yeah, I thought so too.
which one? 12?
The 12
12
Pro.
Pro.
Oh, okay.
And I have learned that that's not true raw, but it's closer to raw than JPEG.
right.
So
Well,
gives you some.
for Mr. Gadget Guy, I have quite an old iPhone, but I do shoot an application that will take TIFFs. So when you see me producing them, it produces a TIFF.
Right, right, right. And I did not use a tripod, but I am going to be getting myself a tripod because you guys have convinced me I can find something I can use with my phone.
Those little gizmos, I bought one similar to what Mike B showed us earlier at the bottom of his tripod. I bought one of those off Amazon that fits into an Arca connector. And that's really useful. I used it for shooting in the garage for video and things. And it's cheap, like $12 or something.
Right.
I love this image. I would print this and put it on your wall.
Thank you.
That would be my take. Good job.
Say that one more time.
I would print it and put it on your wall.
Oh, thank you. Somebody's dog was barking, so I missed.
Oh, you just wanted to hear me say it again.
No.
That was my Maggie.
Okay.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness.
Who's this?
That's mine.
That's interesting.
Wow. Good work.
I didn't say who claimed it. Who claimed it?
Tom.
Tom?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Tom. You've been to the Bart School of Color.
Yeah. This is great.
I love it.
How did you do it?
Yeah, how did you do that?
You do it.
How did you do that? Yeah.
Okay, so I started with the thing that's in the upper left corner, but it was a compound leaf of a bitternut hickory. Alice was studying bitternut hickory trees, and she had an example, a botanical example, and I took a photograph of it, and then I cropped it down because I liked those black triangles. And then I processed it heavily using Affinity Photo and blend modes. I started compounding blend modes. So I would do a blend mode of the green, and I wound up with this, and then I would do a blend mode of that and get the next color, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I've done several versions of this, including ones that are all blend modes of the original green. It's all in greens. So, and then I moved one example over on top of the next, each time expanding out to get that more triangular flow.
Cool.
That's spectacular.
Yeah, that's really great.
Really striking, Tom.
Awesome.
Good job.
Thank you.
Really good.
There's one little thing that I just can't get rid of, and oh well. Just up there below the one in the lower left, and the upper left, there's a little fragment there, and it just drives me crazy, but I can't get rid of it. Every time I would try to get rid of it, it would mess up the whole rest of the composition. So I'm leaving it as the little trail in the Turkish rug that shows imperfections.
I think you should be giving us a tutorial on blend modes, Tom.
Well, they're really fascinating and a lot of fun.
Excellent. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Ooh.
That's mine. And all I have to say for myself is if you take a rectangle and draw a diagonal, you get two triangles. But yeah, this really was an exercise in how to photograph this platter with, or this hard disk drive that I partially disassembled
Yep.
without getting a reflection on the disk.
Right.
And then I also tried, and maybe I'll share them later or put them up on Flickr, but I tried photographing then a reflection in there. And I think I need to take two different focus, because this is taken with an iPhone, and the iPhone really has I had a hard time getting it to focus on the reflection. And if it had, even in this one, there's a little bit of softness in the focus near the top. This was handheld in low light, so it might be a little bit of shake, but the yeah, but this is kind of like a working process, just kind of trying to have some fun. This is an old PCM CIA 20 megabyte or gigabyte hard drive that I was going to throw out. And I've learned that if you want to secure your data when you discard a hard drive, is you take it apart. And so decided to take a photograph of one.
These are really cool though. You have to bring it over one day and we'll put it on the rig and photograph it at high resolution. They're really cool to do. I have a drive here that I've been talking about taking apart for a long time, but I've never done it. We did do it with a camera. We did completely disassemble a T2, I think it was a T2i. And that's fun. We took that apart and then photographed it in pieces. It was cool. But this is
because in order to get no reflection in the center, I had to move the lens off center. So this is like maybe a sixth of the frame after it was cropped.
Right.
But I think what I'll do is I'll get my full frame sensor Canon out and a tripod and start playing some more with this. But it's just kind of fun.
Yeah, polarizing film too.
Okay.
If you need some, call me. I have sheets of polarizing film that you can borrow.
I've got polarizing filter.
Oh, right. Okay, cool. Cool. Good job.
Thank you.
Wow, seeing some interesting stuff. Ooh.
Okay, this is also mine. And again, I played around with the software programs that you guys have introduced me to. This is a 1961 Ford squad car that we rode around when we toured Mayberry, Mount Airy, complete with the siren and everything. And I was sitting in the back seat looking over the driver's shoulder the whole time going, I want to take a picture of that. So when we stopped, he let me sit in the driver's seat and snap this. And it was in color, but I converted it to black and white and then played around with the contrast and the shadow highlights and all the things that you guys have been talking about and I've been learning about from you. So again, thank you.
I think we're going to have to ban you. You're putting the rest of us to shame. With that, either got to get a proper camera or we're going to have to ban you. I'm sorry. I mean,
well, one of the things this has taught me is that even if I don't get a 12 Pro iPhone, I need to get one that has the portrait lens, because if you had not used and you taught me this, if you had not had access to that portrait, this wouldn't have been a good photograph.
Right.
But it's getting rid of that background.
Yeah. Yeah, but
right. And black and white's great too.
Thank you. I thought it fit with the, it's first of all, the squad car is black and white, but also it was 1961. Yeah. But just to one of the things that I just was really excited to do because of what you had taught me, that thicker bar, the black side of it was like there was no detail. And then when I started doing the sliders, with the dark shadows, suddenly the detail popped out and I was like, wow. So I had a lot of fun working with the black and white image and getting the shadow details coming and going.
So what are you using? This is in Lightroom again?
I'm trying to remember. I was afraid you were going to ask me that. I did GIMP and Lightroom, and I think I did, you know, you can go back and forth. Which is the one where I'm pretty sure this was Lightroom because it was the one where you could do the sliders on the shadows, but you can do that on GIMP too. So
right.
I'm sorry.
No
I don't remember.
So Mike mentioned something about a portrait lens there. Tell us, do you put add-on lenses on the back of your camera?
No, there's a setting. You know, on the iPhone, you can do a photo, you can do video, you can do slow-mo. And one of the new settings now that's available is the portrait setting.
Okay.
And what that does is it puts the foreground in focus and the background out of focus. And that's what happened.
There's a bird.
You know, earlier, go ahead, Bill.
No.
Earlier, I made a comment about grain. Some of these, and I don't know whether GIMP does it or I suspicion Lightroom does it, but some of the new processing software will let you emulate different kinds of film.
Yeah, like yes. Yeah.
And this would be interesting I mean, in terms of the vintage effect, to see what would happen if you could apply some of those film filters.
Right.
I mean, it's a great photograph, and I'm just thinking of ways of pulling the thread.
Yeah. Because you can get
I stepped on you, Bill.
Oh, no, I just had a bird come down and kind of buzz me.
I never moved.
Better buzz than something else, Bill.
Yeah. He missed.
Striking.
No, wait, what is that on your hat?
Okay, moving on. Very striking. Thank you.
And thank you again for all I've been learning from you guys.
Okay, now I know whose this is.
You know who this is. Yeah, this is.
Yeah, we do. That's Betty.
Well, you know, so I'm walking
Squirrely
around,
Betty.
I'm walking around Farrington and I'm seeing all these triangles and I'm thinking, this is exactly what everybody else is going to take. And like AJ's, I fought that white triangle in the air forever and I could never get it nearly the way he had it. I mean, that was a really hard thing to photograph with all the other angles around it. So then, of course, I was watching the squirrels who had taken over the bird feeder, this antique one kind of in Farrington. And hey, that had triangles. So actually, this one goes with another one that I think is not maybe next to it, but where I was playing then with this picture and using elements. And I found sort of like a vintage antique look that I put on this, that's what really caught my eye, was that it lent itself to that kind of thing. But anyway, this is
cool. This is a super shot.
Great shot, yeah.
Nicely framed, sharp. It's good. It meets, you know, it fits the theme and so on. Nicely done. I like it.
And you didn't take this through a window, right?
No. I mean, it's the real thing, right? Early in the morning, you know, and I spent a couple days kind of watching them crawling all over this bird thing, and, you know, the hardest part about it, and you can see at the bottom, there are some of those buildings that have triangle roofs here in Farrington, was trying to find a background that I could get that didn't, you know, have another tree in it or a roof or all that kind of stuff. The background was the hardest thing to get. Yeah.
Nicely seen and nicely executed. I like that.
Well,
Whose this is?
Okay, then.
That's mine again.
Oh, I should have known.
You can't see that it's me.
Tom, but you know, we don't.
Maybe
see
I should.
your legs.
If I stood on my head during one of these things, you'd recognize me.
There you go. So tell us more.
Okay, so this was my Halloween offering from Halloween, sitting out in front of our house, and I built it, and shoveled in the leaves around, and so and then I put in and this again in Infinity. I dropped in a fill layer that covered the whole thing, and then painted out the fill layer
Right.
where the legs are and where the leaves at the bottom are, and left the black covering everything else.
I think it works really well in this image. It's
So
very graphic.
yeah, it was fun.
We can count on you for something unique.
I like it a lot. It really works. And I like the framing that you've got without the whole shoe in and, the foot missing at this side. I think that adds to it. I really,
Something else that I did was I went into I shot it raw, I think, and I went into what do they call it, the develop persona, and I used a lot of lens distortion, so that the thing became less sticky, less stick-like.
Right.
And it got distorted, so it feels like it has more motion to it.
Yeah.
Than by using the lens distortion. So I recommend that people try that, using lens distortion.
So I love that we've got folks playing a lot. I mean, the play bit of image making, I think, is really important. And it's nice to get this realistic, real looking photograph. But when you play with things and you try out things, which I think we're seeing a lot more of in the group, and I love. I mean, this is fantastic. I really like this. And the yellow spot. Oh, bloody thing. The yellow spot. The yellow.
Yeah.
It just grabs you. I really like this, Tom.
Thank you.
It really worked for me.
And there are triangles in there too, obviously.
Oh, I see triangles here. I see a triangle.
Yeah.
I see a triangle here.
Right.
Stretching it a bit, we see a triangle here. But yeah, I think there's plenty of triangles. Triangle here, look. The more you look, the more you can find these things. So cool. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay. Who's this?
Mine.
Betty? Was that?
Lynn.
Wow.
Oh, Lynn.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I like the triangle bit.
I didn't take your triangle challenges literally, maybe as I should have. I had another one I had taken with my phone that was branches that created all. I should have sent you that one. But anyway.
Okay.
One triangle.
Wow. I love that building. What's it doing? It's
Falling
going
back,
up and down and over.
It's yeah, a little tilted.
Well, is that the way it is, or is that
Yes.
distortion because of the lens, or?
No, that's the way it is.
Oh God, that's incredible.
You say that when we say that's the way it is, what are we talking about?
It's
a bit leaning.
leaning, yeah.
Oh, it leans away.
Oh, I don't know that that's. Does it look like it's leaning away?
Well, to me, the one thing that strikes me about it is it makes me a little disconcerted, because it looks to me as though it's leaning away from us.
Ah, why is that? Why did that?
Well, it's usually that you're shooting up at an angle, but we have an architectural photographer in this group who can talk more to the better to that than I can. Mike?
Yeah, I'm not seeing that on my screen, but it's true that you get that parallax view.
Right.
If the camera is not perfectly level, and on a lot of tripods, there's a bubble that you can level it on the tripod, There's even a little thing that goes into the flash bracket on the top of your camera that has a bubble in it. But yeah, that if it does look like it's leaning backwards, it's because you tilt the camera. That makes the bottom of the lens infinitesimally closer to the subject than the top of the lens. The top of the lens is farther away, or if you're shooting down, the reverse of that. But it doesn't take much.
Can you fix it once it's taken?
Yeah, you can fix it. This, I mean, this is challenging because, well, I guess maybe, no, I guess
But
it's going the same way.
It's great the way it is. Look, I mean, it's so fun. I mean, that building is crazy. It's got all this, and then it looks like it's drunk or something.
If you look at the two windows.
Lynn, I'm sure it's in Lightroom, but in Elements, under Filter, there is a distortion control that you can use to straighten up those edges. And those pictures of Farrington Village that I guess AJ and Bill took, that filter had been used on those to draw like the left-hand side of this, where you can see the flagpole. With distortion control, you could have brought that edge of the building perfectly vertical.
Oh, it's Mass Store.
And if you're Lynn, I'm sorry.
And well, I was just going to say one other thing. You know, when I do stuff like this, more often than not, I'll take more picture than I'm going to keep. And one of the reasons for that is that when you use that distortion control to straighten the lines, you lose some of the picture to cropping. And so if you back up and give yourself room on either edge, so that if you bring the lines out, what you lose is not something you care about.
I couldn't get much farther away, so okay.
Right.
Yeah,
it's the challenge. What are you using for processing then? Post-processing.
Lightroom.
Okay, well, in Lightroom, you've got a perfect. You can do two things. One is I would apply the lens correction, which will take care of a lot of it automatically. And they're way down at the bottom of the list on the right-hand side in the develop module. And then if that doesn't take care of it sufficiently, you can actually go in there in the, I forget the name, let's just have a look, down in the lens corrections.
I think I have that applied, but I'll try.
Okay, and if you put a profile in there, it'll usually pick it up. And if that isn't sufficient, then you can go in and you can work with the manual to do whatever you want. So this is another one where you play and you can lean them backwards and forwards too. So that would be the way I would think about looking at that.
Okay.
But nice, very nice. Another one with an iPhone, I see.
So this is in Sugar Grove, North Carolina. You took this?
It's in Valley Crucis.
That's Mass Store.
Yeah.
That's a famous.
The original Mass General Store in Sugar Grove, North Carolina.
That's the original store.
Okay, and how are you pronouncing the town that it's in?
Valley, V-A-L-L-E, Crucis, C-R-U-C-I-S.
Okay.
It's near Boone, sort of.
Okay, cool. Might be worth a visit by the look of it.
On Google Maps, they say it's in Sugar Grove, North Carolina.
No.
So they're wrong. Okay, cool. Because the photo of it's the same as what you have.
Well, it's Valley Crucis.
Valley Crucis. Okay.
Well,
if you took it on an iPhone, it's
it may be like Pittsburgh and Farrington. Those two are confused in Google as well.
Right. Yeah. I get some stores where it insists that I live in Farrington. And I don't. Okay, cool. Moving on. We're running out of time. Okay, who's claim to this one?
Helen, that's mine.
And I actually know where this is. This was one of the few that I did know. Talk to us, Helen.
The next one gives you the context for that one. It's the church at Southern Village, the steeple.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
And that was an accident. I was trying to straighten it and flipped it and thought, well, I kind of like this.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't an accident. You did it intentionally. I like this. It works. And I like the fact that it's not straight. I like the fact that you've got it at that angle, and it really emphasizes to me all the aspects of the
Then you got another big triangle on the sky on the left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I purposefully got it to be the way it is so that the picture itself was two triangles.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then the triangles in the steeple.
Great.
It works. I
Right.
think you've done a fabulous job on this. I like it. I like it a lot.
I wished the sky had been a little bit more interesting, but that was what I had, and that's what I
Yep.
went with.
Yep. Well, you can always sneak a sky in the background, you know.
I didn't post-process that one at all.
Oh, you didn't?
Well, I guess
I think, Helen, I actually think that if the sky was more interesting, it would take away from the photograph
it could.
because it's so linear.
I think I agree with that. I like the fact that there's nothing to pull you away from the shapes and the triangles.
And it may be the most triangles too.
Probably, yeah. You probably win the competition for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Nicely seen. I mean, we all drive, you know, there's another lesson here, isn't there? We all drive past this every day, it's a very familiar thing to us, and yet we're seeing it in a way that I suspect we've never seen it before or thought about it before. And I think that's cool. Well done.
You know, I've been shooting the first film I've shot in a long, long time. And I put one lens, a 50mm lens on the camera, and just have been walking around with it. And, you know, that's a good thing to do with any kind of camera.
Yep.
And that reminds me of some shots I had to take because it was the only shot I could get with a 50mm.
Yep.
And if you limit yourself to a single lens or a single focal length, sometimes you're going to I see stuff that ordinarily I wouldn't see.
Very good. Excellent. Well done, Helen. Oh, come back
Thank
to
you.
Yeah.
I just threw that in for context. Then the sky was interesting by that time. This is another case where if I'd had time and knew what I was doing in GIMP, I'd work with the distortion controller and get that line straight, but I didn't have time.
Well, in this one, you might need to rotate it.
I tried, and there's no way I can get one thing straight or the other, and I gave up and just left both of them off. I'm gonna mess with that one a little bit more.
Cool.
And Helen, where were you in terms of this picture, distance wise, compared to the earlier one? Was the earlier one taken from about this distance too?
Yes, all of them.
That first picture is incredibly sharp for being that far away from that object.
There just wasn't a good angle on this.
Well, I think your triangle one is perfect. So, you know, this gives us a context, but I think that previous photo was fabulous.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job. All right. Here we go.
We already saw that one.
No.
And this has the filter, I think.
Oh, right.
That's the, I guess they call it style. It was under style in Elements. And I just was playing around with it and it reminded me of those old fashioned children's books. You know, they had prints like that. I think they were engravings or they were something or other.
Right.
Anyway, I liked it.
I think it's an interesting treatment. I like the fact that you had, whoops, no, bugger. I like the styling, but the cropping off of the top and the side are a little disturbing to me. I think I prefer the other one. I think it's but I like the style of this. I see what you're doing. If you could combine both, I think it would be an excellent photograph, Betty. But good job.
Thank you.
You're all doing good stuff. Okay, I'm going to leap on because we're running out of time. Okay, who's laying claim to this one?
This is mine, and I realized that there's still work to be done, but I used my new lens, and these are toad eggs.
Oh,
American toads, they're mating right now, or they were, and this is one of the things that I'm trying in my life to be able to photograph. It was photographed in slightly murky water.
right.
I processed it a lot. Any comments are welcome. There's sort of a vague triangle. If you see the top angle and then the bottom, and toads basically, this is what it looks like when they lay their eggs. But it is shot in sort of murky water, so I processed it a lot. So comments are welcome.
What lens did you use, Susan?
I used the new one I bought from Ace. It was a, what is it?
Sure. We've got it. Okay, the 75 to 300. Yep.
Yeah.
I wonder where, did you use autofocus or did you manually focus?
I did use autofocus.
Yeah, I wonder where it thinks it wanted to focus. I don't think it was doing you any favors here. And when you're shooting through water, that's always challenging because sometimes it picks up the surface when you don't want it. And other times when you want to focus on the surface, it won't do it. So it might be worth thinking about that. That would be my biggest question. And you shot at f11, so you're getting up there in terms of depth of field. What did you do for ISO? And your camera is, whoops, oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. That's not what I wanted. Here's what I wanted to do. Oh, 800. Yep. Okay. So what camera are you on?
The Canon Rebel SL2.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, okay. Is that an older model?
No, it's the latest one.
Okay.
3 years ago.
Okay. Well, it should shoot at ISO 800 without any problem. I mean, to me, the only thing on this is where did it focus, and that's the biggest point I would make. How are you liking that lens?
I do, and this was handheld, and I don't know if tripod would have been better. I like the lens, even though they said it's really not a. I like it. It's there were some criticisms of it, but because it doesn't have image stabilization, but it was the right price, and it said it wasn't professional, but I'm not professional, so and I'm enjoying it.
Well, that's the number one consideration, isn't it? I didn't find it that sharp when I used it, but and that might be what's showing up here too. But definitely a tripod. I would try a tripod, see if that helps you, and then maybe manually focus. That's the only thing I could comment on this. I mean, you're trying a difficult subject too. I mean, don't forget that this is not like a straightforward portrait or family shot. They're tough to do.
Yeah, and that's what I don't know. That's what I'm trying to get pictures of.
The other thing that might help you is a polarizer.
Okay.
Maybe worth trying.
Yeah, I have that same lens and I like it, but I do find that I have to switch to manual focus quite often.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, well, we'll follow this one with interest. Keep giving us the shots. I'm interested in what you're doing here. Really interested. It's good. Anybody else? Actually, we're past our deadline. I'm going to move.
Okay, this is the last one, and this is mine too. So you can tell I was sort of focused. I focused on getting these American toads. Also processed this one pretty heavily because again, it was in murky water.
Is this same lens? It
Same
is.
lens.
See it. It's up there on the screen.
Yep. And the triangles are besides the toads, also those things in the water to the right are eggs. Up on the top, black things are toad eggs, and on the bottom, the squiggly things, yep, those also are toad eggs. So,
So
anyway.
again, I to me, this cries out for manual focus.
Okay.
Choose your, make sure that you've got the bit that you want sharp.
Oh, the other comment I would make, I don't remember who talked about it recently. Are you using multiple focus points or a single focus? That would make a difference too.
Yeah, and I use autofocus, and I notice sometimes the camera ends up with lots of little little focus points, and other times it doesn't. And sometimes when it seems to sometimes have trouble focusing with this lens, and I don't know if it's what I'm trying to shoot or what. So sometimes what I do is, it seems like if I poke a spot on the, it'll actually focus on that spot.
Yeah.
So
You can't get any closer than 5 feet to your subject with that lens.
okay.
So if you're trying to get closer than 5 feet with that lens, then you're going to have focusing problems.
Okay, that's good to know, because I wondered, because all of a sudden it wouldn't focus, and I couldn't do the shot.
That's what the problem is. Yes.
Okay, thank you for letting me know, because I was trying to figure it out.
So the other thing I would do is on your camera, again, this is a very personal thing, how you set your autofocus. And I've talked a number of times, I switch off many of the fancy bits and have a single central focus point. I use that. So if I was shooting this, I would focus on the eye of the frog, probably the one closest to me. And then I would keep the shutter button half depressed, which maintains the focus. And then frame it the way you want it framed and press the shutter button completely to take the exposure. That's the way it works for me. But as I say, these things are very personal. But these cameras can often be too smart nowadays. And so you need to batter it into submission and make sure it's focusing where you want it to focus.
You may want to go to the focus mode of the single, like in Nikon to be AFS, so that when you do go for that single focus point, it stays right there, and then you can do the focus and repose. Yeah.
Cool.
I think it's a spectacular photograph. It's one of the best that I've seen of all the photographs that I've seen in this group. It's unbelievably cool. There maybe there are a couple of little things that I would have removed, like right under the nose of the female frog. But I think it has this graphic element to it, and yet it's still botanical, or what's the word, zoological, whatever, biological. I just think it's unbelievably cool.
Good job.
Very nice.
Well done. You're trying challenging things here, Susan. So hang in there, and again, play or experiment. These are great. I don't know how you find this stuff and photograph it at all. I mean, I think
it's my pond. It's the pond, and I have to say that this event of the toads happens once a year. So I just have to kind of keep listening for their calls.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Well done. I think that's it.
Good work, everybody.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Excellent stuff all around. Okay, we're well over. I'm sorry, I didn't do a good job of time management today, but shall we call it a day, and we'll see you in 2 weeks?
Yep.
See you in 2 weeks.
And was the challenge for next time mentioned at the beginning? I didn't hear it if it was.
Neither did I. Do we have a?
I think,
Yes.
yeah, I think didn't we agree that it was going to be using stabilization of some sort?
Yes.
Oh,
And that as a part of a part of your description had to be how you stabilized it.
Yep.
That was the reason for Bill's introduction about tripods. But other people like Bill were also brought up leaning on a car or wrapping yourself around a tree, or if you don't have a tripod, set your camera down on a table and use remote release or whatever it takes, but just do something with tripod, monopod, body, other object, whatever. I've used an individual shoulder as a brace in some cases. So whatever it is, just be ready to talk about how you stabilize yourself to get a sharper image. So
thank you for keeping.
Anyway, good meeting. See y'all in 2 weeks.
Okay, take care.
Susan,
Yeah,
on your camera, in the upper right corner on the back of your camera, there's a little button. There's actually two buttons. The smaller of the two, if you press that, that will bring up your focus point screen, and you can change the number of focus points you have.
so do I want to decrease it or do I want to increase it?
It's a matter of preference. I think it was Bill that gave the discussion on that. Most of the time, I like a single focus point, and I think most of the other people here would agree with that.
Yeah.
And then where would I want to set the, what's it called? Aperture? So what I want to have, so what I want to still have it, so I get depth of the field?
Well, you're still gonna, if you're shooting on automatic, you can still leave everything on automatic. It just changes. You can select a particular spot on the photograph to focus on.
Okay.
As opposed to letting the camera decide which focus point is the best.
Okay, because I do have it on aperture priority.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah, but you want to look and see how many focus points you're using.
Okay, okay,
And try changing that.
okay.
I'm guessing that's where it is on your camera. You have a Canon, right?
Hmm?
I'm guessing that's where it is.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay, folks, we'll see you soon. Take care.